Alright, so we got it out with the old and in with the new. So, here today what we're going to be doing is we got this rear diffuser for this Dodge Charger that we're going to be installing. Now I've already taken the liberty of removing this other one. I found that it's just going to be a little bit easier to show you exactly where everything is. That way so I'm not wasting all your time while you watch me remove all these little clips. So, thing to note, this one right here is you're going to have to drill out. But then you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 that you're going to have to remove, and another one on the other side that you're going to have to drill out. So let me just kind of show you something on the tips that I did in order to remove those to make that a little bit easier. Alright, so here you got these little tips that you got to remove in order to install something like that. These take the round tips. They're not actually integrated tips into the bumper, and you help you project your exhaust outside your vehicle rather than resonating it underneath the vehicle. We'll get a little bit more into that once we get later into this video. So, these are what you're going to have to remove. You're going to have a few of them that you will have to take off. Let me just kind of show you a quick little way on how to get these off without actually taking a Dremel or a grinder to your vehicle. Alright, so here you have the tips. What you're going to need is, what I like to use, you can use just a regular flathead for this. But I have this little flathead that at one point in time I bent it, and it turned out the best thing that I ever did to this thing. So I could use that in order to pry on whatever I need to. So you need flathead screwdriver and some needle nose. So let's see if we can get this in the camera. See this one right here? See how it's kind of in this crevice? You'd have a hard time getting anything in there. It has the very center part. You're just going to grab a hold of that. And you are going to break that part off of it. Just like that. Okay, now you notice how it has all these little pieces right there. Take your flathead. And you're just going to pry these up to where they can fit through the hole. This is really hard to keep on camera. Okay. And you could always just move them. And you can break those parts off as well. Let me just show you, just if you're really having issues, just grab a hold of them and break the ends off. Just like this. And there we go. Now if you look at that, now let's see if we can do this with this flathead. We're just going to push it through. And just like that, it's no longer attached. So, what does the back side look like? Well, let me just show you on the other one that I also didn't remove. So, see, there it is. So all it is you have the back end of the washer right there, and this just pushes off. Pretty simple. So there's an easy way, so you're not taking a grinder to your vehicle, how to remove those with very little amount of tools. Alright, so here's kind of what we're working with here. So one thing to remember is that when you do this, you don't want to do it without already having a way to project the exhaust all the way past it. If you do not do that, what's going to happen is you're going to drive down the road and actually wind up melting your brand new diffuser. So take the extra step, get your exhaust, and then get your diffuser, or get them at the same time. So here is what we're working with, and all it does is you look right in their top side, right above that bigger notch, there's a smaller notch. That's where they clip into. So when you're removing your old one, you're basically just prying it out of there. grab a hold of it and pull it out. It will pull out. It will take a little bit of force in order to get it out though. So just remember that. You have a new one. Don't be too worried about breaking the other one. I wasn't. Still wound up not breaking the old one. So let's go ahead and get the new one clipped in there. Then we'll get the inserts in, and then we'll start working on getting the exhaust lined up correctly. So what I'm using here for my exhaust is I have an MBRP race exhaust. So if you look down in there, it's actually adjustable. So I can adjust the tips so that it's within, centered in the notch, and I can drop it down a little bit so that it's not too close to the diffuser and wind up melting the diffuser. So let's get this installed. Alright, so when you're doing this, you want to make sure that this black, especially if you get the gloss, it's going to scratch really easily. So you want to make sure that your hands aren't all covered in dirt, and just kind of be careful with how much abrasion you put on the diffuser itself. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off in the middle. I'm going to line up the two middle ones, and then I'll work to the sides from there. So there's the two middle ones. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing on this is it doesn't hold in on this side. So I think what I'm going to have to do is get the bottom screwed in to kind of just hold it. But first, let's make sure that all these parts are nice and, I gotta say, a little bit off, but not too bad. So let me grab one of the inserts, and we get that inserted. Alright, so upon further investigation, realized that two of the 4 holes in the middle line up, which is your centers. So I'm going to put a self-tapper on the other ones, but for now I'm working on these sides. So the hole that you have is big enough for your factory hardware, but remember on your sides what you had was a rivet that you had to drill out. So what you're going to have to do is, this hole isn't big enough for these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill out this hole, and then I should be able to just put that on there. So let me just get to that. So there we go. It's a little bit, kind of a little gap right there, but not too bad. And let me just do this to the other side, and we'll get the tips all lined up and you'll be able to see how this looks. So then there you have it. I think your hardest part you're going to have is lining up your tips. If you do not get a full exhaust, you're going to wind up having to get it welded in order for that to work properly. But for the money, I don't think you can beat it. Just make sure, if you notice on mine, I don't have much of a gap right there. I'm probably gonna have to space this down just by adding a spacer to the mount. So there you go. So if you have the bumper that doesn't have the holes right there, then you have the RT or the V6 bumper, And what you're going to need to do is make sure that the one that you buy specifically says that it's for your vehicle. I find what works best is they'll have pictures of the right bumper that's supposed to go on. Just match that up. So, hope everyone's having a good day, and see you on the next one.